This is to all those who've been listening to Old Time Radio that I've been podcasting for 12 years. It's time for you to purchase the Old Time Radio collection now at the lowest prices ever. 500 gigabyte external hard drive chock full of radio shows that we all love. And don't forget the bonuses. Here's my offer. I need everyone who hears my voice to go to oldtimeradiodvd.com to place your order today. With every order, I will include a comprehensive show guide with episode descriptions. Over 1,982 pages. This is truly once-in-a-lifetime deal. Place your order today at oldtimeradiodvd.com. You will be glad you did.
If the past is a foreign country, I've had my passport confiscated. I'm talking about my childhood, before I was 9 or 10. Sometimes I see mental pictures from that time of people or places I can't quite recognize. I know they're from my childhood, but I can never place them, because if I try to enter that land of lost content, or was it discontent, I'm always stopped at the border, an undesirable alien, a bogus asylum seeker, the eternal, unwanted immigrant.
Jeremy North in The Polish Soldier by Gregory Evans.
James? Are you okay? What's up? Did the movie upset you?
No, I had this... I don't know. This odd sort of...
What?
Daydream, I suppose.
Huh. Tell me.
Well, I was sitting at the end of a long, dark corridor. I'd been there for a while. I may have been waiting for someone. It was hot. Well, like it is now. And at last... at the far end of this passageway, a door opens. Some light filters in, but it's still gloomy. I look up, and out of the shadows steps...
What? What?
That sounds so weird.
James, I hope this is not pornographic.
The door opens at the end of this corridor, and Hussar steps through it.
What?
An hussar. Or an ulan, or a dragoon. I don't know, some sort of old-fashioned cavalry officer in full-dress uniform.
Are you serious?
He was wearing a fitted tunic, yellow and black, with epaulettes and silver braid. He had a sabre and a sort of tall cap on his head.
Have you ever dropped acid?
Oh, God, no, you know me, I've never done anything like that.
Could it be from some old movie? The Prisoner of Zenda.
Well, I couldn't see his face clearly, but I don't think it was Ronald Colman. Besides, that was black and white.
Maybe it was a remake. You coming to bed?
Yeah. Be up in a minute.
Catch me before I fall asleep. We can fool around.
Two things I didn't tell Marty. One, it wasn't a daydream or an acid flash or a scene from a film. It was a memory from my childhood. Two, the appearance of that soldier upset me even more than Marty realized. When I saw it, I was filled with dread, I suppose. Until that moment, I was happy sitting there on that hot landing. But when the door opened, close my eyes. I'm there again. Sitting at the top of a flight of stairs in a big old house. My back against the peeling wallpaper. My feet in plimsolls on the bare boards. This time, before anything can happen, the image fades.
sorry if I woke you.
You didn't. I wasn't asleep. Thanks.
You know I'm going to visit my mother tomorrow.
Oh, you mean today? And it's we, James.
What?
We are going to visit her.
Well, you don't have to come, Marty.
Well, didn't you promise her I would?
Yeah, but...
Well, then I do have to. Besides, believe it or not, I like your mother. James, we need to talk.
Now?
Why not now? What else have you got planned?
Sleep?
I should have said this before, but I wanted to be
This
sure.
is about us buying a house together, isn't it?
That's only part of it
Look,
now.
I've been thinking about it, and I can see
James,
it makes
just
sense.
let me
You
have a
sleep
word
here
in.
every night, most of your stuff is here, your flat's
That's
tiny.
not what this is
and the
about.
rent's a joke, so you're right. Practically, financially, it makes sense. It would make even more sense for you to just move in here with me, which you know I'd be perfectly happy
James,
with.
will you
But
please
this is
just
my
let-
house, and you're afraid it'd never really be yours, right? Or
Yeah,
ours.
but-
So I understand all that, but Marty, listen, it's not that I don't love you. I do.
That's a relief.
You know that. I like being with you, but I just don't want to move. I'm settled here.
Jesus.
I know. You want to unsettle me a bit. I just...
James, I'm pregnant.
What?
Is that unsettling enough? Sit down before you fall down.
How can you be pregnant?
We'll just let that one float right past,
No.
shall we?
I mean,
It was probably that night last month when we went back to my flat and I didn't have my diaphragm.
you said you didn't need it.
I thought I didn't. Hey, don't look at me like that. I was just as shocked as you are. Well, maybe not quite as shocked.
You sure
That I was shocked?
that you're pregnant?
You want me to show you?
Show me one.
The blue line. On the little strip of paper in the pregnancy test. I've done it twice. The last time 5 minutes ago.
I don't want children. This is not a secret, Marty. We talked about it when we started getting serious. I've always said it. I never want children. Hasn't changed. No more spiffy cavalry officers after that. No childhood memories. Marty's bombshell blew all that away.
You want me to drive?
You don't need to come. I'll say you've got a cold and you don't want to give it to her. She'll like that. Shows you're considerate.
Oh, you're a whiz at excuses, aren't you?
With my mother, I am. I have to be. You can always come another time.
And what if there's not another time?
Meaning?
I mean your mother.
Oh, no, she's tougher than she looks. She'll outlive us all. Okay. You drive.
You thought I meant us, didn't you? At least pretend you're pleased to be here. I won't tell your mom I'm pregnant if that's what's worrying you.
No, don't. Bad news can bring on an attack.
She might think it was good news. Her first grandchild.
The least thing can start her off. Anything upsetting, unpleasant, emotional even. So keep it light and inconsequential, okay?
Okay.
And keep the conversation going. Hello, Mum. Hello. It's me. I'm here with Marty. Can we come in?
The guy said they were zucchini.
That's American for courgette.
So I put them into my allotment. 30 plants. I always lose some to the slugs or they just die, but every single one of these survived.
I'd never seen anybody work so hard at anything.
About so high. I looked at them and I thought, these are weird-looking zucchini.
So much sheer physical effort, such intense concentration, just to keep breathing.
What are they?
Sunflowers, Meg. 30 sunflowers. At first I was pissed about not getting any zucchini, but now, God, they look amazing. Taller than me, heads like dinner plates that turn with the sun. God, damn, I should have bought you a bunch instead of those shop flowers.
I had an allotment when Jamie was little.
Listen to me, running off at the mouth.
No.
I'll shut up now.
Really, Marty, it's fine.
Give James a chance. He's got lots to tell you, haven't you, James?
So, Jamie, tell me your news.
My mind went blank. I panicked, which is why, even though I knew really that it wasn't inconsequential,
I had a strange dream last night.
Yes?
Yes. No, actually, it wasn't a dream. It was, well, I think it was something that really happened. When I was a kid.
You never told me that.
It's the end of a summer's day. Hot. Like it is now. I'm in a house. Not our house on Littlemore Hill, though we must have been living there then. Some other house. Big. Shabby. I'm sitting at the top of a flight of stairs. And I've been sitting there for a while when a door opens at the far end of this landing. And there's a soldier standing there.
Soldier?
In an old-fashioned uniform, yellow and black.
Tadeusz.
Tadeusz?
Ted. Everyone called him Ted. Only your father called him Tadeusz. And his father, of course, Mr. Krasinski.
Meg, you okay?
You remember them? The Poles.
The brother and sister, Ted and...
Eva.
Yes.
Ted was a bit of a tartar. Eva was sweet. She used to look after... She doted on Miranda.
Of course.
Eva was your age. Ted was older. 2 years. That summer when he wore that, he must have been 12.
So this soldier, it was just a kid?
His father made him that uniform. Some old Polish regiment.
I remember it now.
They were very patriotic.
Ted wore it all the time. His grey school trousers. I used to go to their house.
That summer you were always there. Round at their place. Always together. You, Ted, Eva... Miranda trailing along behind.
Who's Miranda?
Mom, if this is upsetting you, let's talk about something else.
It's Jamie's sister.
Your sister? You never told me you had a sister.
She died.
That summer. That same summer.
Mom,
Meg, take it easy.
please, Mom, calm down. Marty, bring the oxygen over. Come,
James.
Breathe into this. Turn it on.
It is on.
Oh, Mum, try and calm down. Please. Hit the alarm.
What?
The red button. Think she'll be all right?
The doctor said she'd be just fine. Come on. Let's sit on the swings.
It says no one over 12.
I've heard you call yourself an only child.
I was, in effect.
Well, except for the little matter of a sister.
Miranda was 2 when she died. I was 10. It sounds heartless, Marty, but It was as if she never existed.
How did she die?
She drowned. In a pond on my mother's allotment.
That must have been terrible.
Yes. I suppose it was.
You don't remember it?
Not really. What I know, I learnt later from my parents' rows. That was the beginning of the end.
End of what?
Family life. My childhood. A lot of things. 18 months after Miranda drowned, my parents divorced. 3 years after that, my father died.
And it was that summer.
What summer?
The summer you spent so much time with your Polish friends. Ted in his weird uniform and his kid sister.
Was it?
Your mother said it was.
So what if it was?
So nothing. So it's interesting, that's all.
Driving home with Marty not talking beside me, I felt the past start to bleed into the present. The past still seemed safe then. A few faded snapshots found at the bottom of a drawer. The Krzyzinskis, posing awkwardly for the camera. Mr. Krzyzinski, Ted, and Eva. Mrs. K, she died before we met them. Look closer. Mr. Krzyzinski is younger than my father. His broad face would be handsome if he didn't look so tired. Ted, dark, clever, sly. Eva, pale, tearful. Here's Ted by himself, wearing the uniform his father made for him. Look at him. This 12-year-old Pole, who's never seen Poland, in that old house in Smethwick, dressed in a replica uniform from the defeated army of an almost vanished nation. What an expression of loss that seems, of exile and unfulfillable longing. Ted. Tadeusz. Tadeusz.
Why Miranda?
Sorry, Marty, what did you say?
I asked you why your sister was called Miranda. It's an unusual name.
I don't know. I wasn't consulted. My father loved Shakespeare. He could quote it by the yard. I assume it was that. Admired Miranda. Indeed, the top of admiration. Worth what's dearest in the world. Or maybe it was Belloc. It's about him, too. Do you remember an inn, Miranda? Or is that Chesterton? Never remember. Shakespeare's more likely, don't you think?
I wouldn't know.
Miranda is Prospero's daughter in The Tempest.
Thanks for enlightening me.
Marty, what's wrong? You haven't said 2 words since we left Bristol.
Oh, you want me to say 2 words? Because I can think of a couple.
Look, I know why you're upset.
Oh, really?
There's the fact that you're...
Carrying your child, which you don't want anything to do with.
Well, that's one way to put it.
You got a better way?
But apart from that, there's the other thing. Unrelated.
And that is?
The fact I never told you about my sister. You think I was keeping it from you? Like some dirty little secret.
You think it's little?
Marty, it's not that I chose not to tell you. I just never think about her, so it didn't occur to me. It's as simple as that.
Well, I don't think it's simple at all. I don't think the 2 things are unrelated either.
Marty, come on!
Not wanting this baby.
Not this baby. Any baby. Anyway, there is no baby yet. You talk as if you're already changing nappies.
And not telling me you had a sister. They're part of the same thing, this problem you have.
Oh, and which one's that?
The old English reserve. You always have to hold something back, some part of yourself. It's why you don't want to buy a house with me. You can't make that commitment.
Commitment? What's wrong with love?
Love lets you off the hook.
You're dead wrong, kid. Love is the hook.
You fall in love. You don't have to do anything. It just happens to you, like falling downstairs or falling ill.
Or falling pregnant.
You can't help it.
Falling in love. I know what to do. What am I to do? I can't.
Just like you can't help falling out of it.
Oh.
That also just happens. Is it happening now?
No.
Prove it.
How?
Tell me something.
That I love you?
No. Tell me about your sister. Well, go on.
Now?
Why not now? Does it upset you?
No, I don't remember her. I've seen photos, but it's like the film's been cut and spliced. The scenes featuring Miranda are missing.
Tell me what you learned later, then. About how she died.
I already did.
Was she wandered onto your parents' allotment?
Yes, it was right behind the house. Actually, it was my mother's allotment.
So?
Well, my father, he wanted her to give it up. Even before Miranda was drowned.
Why?
He disapproved. He thought it was beneath her. No wife of his should till the soil.
He sounds like a snob.
Yeah, he was proper. He used to call my mother a Welsh peasant.
Your mom's Welsh?
Yeah.
Well, she hasn't got an accent.
My father mocked it out of her. She couldn't speak English until she was 10. She's from a little village in West Wales. I went there once. My father disapproved of everything my mother enjoyed. Smoking, singing. She always gave in to him. Not over the allotment, though. She stood firm over that. Until the accident, of course, but... you don't want to hear all of this. It's ancient history. It's not even interesting.
Well, it is to me. I've never heard you talk like this before. Even if you have changed the subject.
My sister, I've got nothing else to say about that.
Tell me about the Krasinskis, then.
Krasinskis. I can't remember.
Try. How did you meet them?
Well, my father gave Ted private tuition to get him through the 11 plus. Not that he needed it. It was either that or...
What?
The allotments. Mr. Krasinski had one too. He needed it for the family.
The Krasinskis were broke?
The Krasinskis were poor.
But Ted had private lessons. Or wouldn't your dad have charged?
He'd have charged. It's an immigrant thing, isn't it? Making sacrifices so your kids can prosper. Ted wanted to be a physicist. At that age, I didn't know what a physicist was.
Ted?
Strange, I prefer Tadeusz now.
Well, the figure in the corridor, your Polish soldier, just a kid dressed up. I can't get my head around
That was the day.
What day?
When I was waiting on the landing in the Krasinski's house and Ted appeared. That was the day Miranda drowned.
Are you sure?
Positive. Oh, my God.
There's a service station coming up. Why don't we stop for coffee?
Ted didn't tell me about Miranda. Not then. Not later.
So, waiting there, you didn't know she was dead?
No, I was happy sitting there. I remember that more clearly than anything. Sheer contentment.
So, how come the memory upset you?
Because of what happened later on, I suppose.
How did you find out about Miranda?
My father told me. That night.
He woke me up. I remember him sitting on my bed. And... my mother was standing behind him in the doorway. And I knew something was wrong. Oh, no, hold on, wait. No, he didn't tell me then. Not that Miranda was dead, no, he said she'd had an accident and she was in hospital. But I knew. I knew because they were both with me. If she was in hospital, why wasn't one of them with her? So I knew she was dead. They must have told me the following day. I don't remember. You want another cup of coffee?
No.
Well, let's go then, shall we? I want to get home.
This is the wrong way. You should have made a left back there.
No. We're going to your place.
Why do you want to go to my place?
I don't. I'm dropping you off.
Can we talk about
Marty, I'm sorry if this sounds corny, but I need some time alone to think.
About us?
About everything.
Will I see you tomorrow?
I don't know. Thought I might go back tomorrow.
To your mother.
To Smethwick. Where I grew up.
What for?
Why, just to look around. I haven't been back for 20 years.
So what do you expect to find there now?
I don't know. Nothing. I don't know.
James, look at yourself. You're becoming obsessed with stuff that happened 30 years ago.
32.
I'm not saying it's not important, but don't you think what's happening now is more important?
Yes, I'm sorry.
Stop the car.
Why?
I'll walk from here. I hope you find it, James. Whatever the hell you're looking for.
Marty was right. But what could I do? I'd never cared about the past. My own past. Now it consumed me. I couldn't think about anything else. I poured myself a whiskey. I found a notepad and pen. And at the top of the page I wrote 1968. I knew what happened in the world that year. Paris, Prague, Chicago, Vietnam. But what happened to me, age 10, in that little Midlands town? We'll start with the people. Ted. Thaddeus. Eva. Which I remember she spelt with a W. Mr. Krasinski. My mother and father, of course. Miranda. And last but not least, me. Little Jamie. And then nothing. I couldn't get beyond that first partial memory sitting on the stairs in the Krasinski's house and Ted appearing in that uniform. What else? What else? So I put that memory aside and tried somewhere else. The allotments at the back of the house. The pond where Miranda drowned, and where I fished for tadpoles and newts with Ted. I remember holding a newt in my hand and showing it to Miranda. No. I was making it up, trying to write it like a story. It was getting dark. I knew I should think about the present, the future with Marty, or Suddenly I remember today. Earlier that same year, late spring, I'm in a horse chestnut tree on the edge of the allotments, high in the branches. Alone. Ted is, I don't know, doing his homework probably. There's an amazing view from up here. I can see Eva in our garden playing with Miranda. My mother working on her allotment, wearing shorts and an old shirt that my father hates. And a few plots over, Mr. Krasinski digging. This was real, true. My mother yoo-hoos and beckons, and Mr. K sticks his spade in the soil and goes over. He looks weary. Even from here I can see that. And they stand, chatting for a while. Then they both crouch down to look at some plant, something my mother has grown. I can't see what it is from my perch up in the conker tree. All I can see are their heads. Together. That memory released the other one. The one I'd buried for so long. The end of a summer's day. I'm sitting at the top of the stairs on the Krasinski's first floor landing, waiting for Eva to finish a piano lesson. My father has sent me to ask Eva to look after Miranda, because my mother is out somewhere, shopping, or... My father hates looking after the kids, especially the baby. It's a woman's job. He resents it when my mother leaves us in his care, which makes him care less, even, who knows, deliberately careless. To teach his wife a lesson. The thought of this pierces me now. But at the time, I wasn't thinking at all. I could have waited patiently on that hot landing forever. But the door at the far end opens, and Tadeusz appears.
Jamie!
Ted,
Oh, come on.
I can't.
I've got something to show you.
I've got to wait.
It's something you've never seen before.
I get up and follow him. Up a narrow staircase to the third floor where no one ever goes. His old-fashioned uniform moves ahead of me. The yellow, clear, the black, dissolving into the dark. We walk the length of a bare corridor and stop outside a slightly open door. Tadeusz was right. Here was something I'd never seen before.
Look.
Mr. Krasinski lies in bed. My mother sits beside him and takes off her stockings, rolling them down her legs and letting them fall. She stands up, her naked body catching the dying light is like a pale flame. Shame and horror show plainly in my face. I want only to get away. But there's more. There's more. Tadeusz smiles at me and kicks the door. My mother starts, then comes towards me. Tadeusz has vanished now. The sight of my mother's body hurts my eyes. As if it really is a flame.
Go home, Jamie. Go home.
Neither James Thompson nor Marty Danziger can get to the phone right now, so please leave a message after the tone. James. Pick up. We need to talk. Okay. Call me when you can. But please, make it soon. I love you.
Later, as I lay in bed, all the memories of the Krasinskis that had been dark in my mind for so long blazed. They were mostly happy, in spite of Tadeusz. The happiest times of my childhood were spent in that comfortless house. Only there, where it was all so foreign, in that sad scrap of Poland adrift in the world, only there had I ever felt at home. That's true for my mother, too. Never knew that before. When I thought about my mother, I felt no blame, but no forgiveness either. Just a space waiting to be filled. And I knew there was more.
Oh, God. Oh, isn't that enough?
Something I'd overlooked or misunderstood. But as I drifted into sleep, it wasn't the past I was thinking about, it was Marty. And how I must call her first thing in the morning, even if I didn't know what I should say. But when I woke, just after dawn, I didn't call. I got in the car. I drove. 3 hours later, I turned off the motorway and drove past a DIY superstore where there'd once been a factory making car parts, machine tools. I carried on for a couple of miles, then turned left at a roundabout I didn't remember, and into...
Damn!
First, I was sure I'd gone wrong. But as I drove on, I realized, no, that this was it, my old hometown. The map I'd had in my head since childhood had become hopelessly obsolete. I parked, got out. Looking around, I knew a little of the sadness Mr. Krasinski must have felt losing the country he'd grown up in. I crossed the road and found myself in a precinct that looked old, though it was new to me. A newsagent, a charity shop, a supermarket where once there were houses. No, the little street that ran through here was lined with foundries, where iron was melted and cast. As a kid, I passed them several times a week. Their doors always stood open. Fires burned in pits in the ground. Figures moved through the dark. The hot breath of those places came out to me harsh and choking and rank with sweat. And I remembered that here, in one of these foundries, Mr. Krasinski had worked.
That's what killed him. Not the war or his wife dying, but that terrible place. The hours, the conditions. He was so tired, he lay down and never got up again. At the end, he could hardly lift his head from the pillow.
Mr. Krasinski died. Ted and Eva were taken away. Never saw them again. Their house was sold. As I stood in the middle of my redeveloped childhood, that fateful summer's evening came back to me. The hot corridor, the narrow stairs with the wasp-coloured uniform, the open door, the pale flame of my mother's body, the man's white face denting the pillow, his large, dark eyes. He was dying then. Of course. It had all happened just days before his death. Was it lust or compassion? Was my mother comforting the dying man with her sacred body, administering last rites in the only way she knew? Was she just an adulteress? Or was she really some kind of saint? I had a sudden image of my mother as a saint, smiling like one of the Krasinski's cartoon Madonnas. Then another image flashed into my mind. My mother's body as it was that day, not a flame, but flesh and blood. And I knew that what she'd done was a complex and, above all, a human thing, the result of motives and emotions I would never know. I'd come here to look at the houses, ours and the Krasinskis, but now there seemed no point. I found a call box.
Listen, Marty, what I'm trying to say, let's take it a day at a time.
A day at a time?
Just give me a chance to get used to the idea.
James, on a certain day, 200 and something days from now, I'm going to have a baby.
I know that.
So how do you plan to take that particular day?
I don't know. I suppose I'll adapt. Look, let's just drive off that bridge when we come to it. Now, I've got a question.
James.
Have you still got the sunflowers?
What?
The ones you were telling my mother about. I thought we could take her a bunch.
When?
Whenever suits you. Will they still be okay next weekend?
Yes. They'll be fine. Are you going to tell her?
Tell her? Tell her what?
About the baby. What else?
Oh, no. No. Thought you could tell her.
I got the story from James that night, his mother and the Polish guy. He was very composed when he told me. That old English reserve. He didn't want to talk about it much after that, but 6 months later I dragged him back. I wanted to see where it all happened and where he was raised, of course. Not that there's a hell of a lot left to see. There was a family from Croatia living in James's old house. Or was it Kosovo? Actually, it looked more like several families. I tried to explain we only wanted to take a look around, but they didn't get it. The Krasinski's place is gone, and a new estate's been built where the allotments used to be. Hencoop houses, you wouldn't want to live in them. Though, to be honest, you wouldn't want to live there at all. It's a nothing sort of place. One good thing about the trip, I made James visit Miranda's grave. He'd never been. Not since the funeral. On the headstone, under her name and the dates, so close together, were the words, "Dearest in the world." So it was the Tempest. While we were standing there, the baby kicked, which made me cry. James walked away. He's never talked to his mother about any of it. I think he'd like to, but he can't take the risk. She's a lot worse now. We're just hoping she'll be around long enough to see her grandchild.
In The Polish Soldier by Gregory Evans, James was played by Jeremy Northam, Marty by Teresa Gallagher, the mother by Gillian Mears, and Ted by Tom George. The pianist was Mia Soteriou, the director was Ned Shea.